Hi, I'm Jacob.
And I'm Dave.
Today we're going to look at one of the few optimizations you can carry out on your PC that costs absolutely nothing at all, airflow optimization.
And who better to show you than two of the coolest guys around?
Yeah, you say so.
Alright, so let's get into it, bruh. It's important that even under the most arduous of GPU-intensive loads, your graphics card shouldn't stifle its own performance just to keep within the thermal limitations of the chip.
If you have one of NVIDIA's latest generation graphics cards, the temperature of your card is directly linked to its performance, thanks to their GPU Boost 3.0 tech.
This uses a combination of temperatures, available power, and fan speed to adjust GPU clock speeds for optimum performance. With a little helping hand keeping your graphics card cool, GPU Boost won't cut your clock speeds and nerf your performance mid-game.
The same logic applies to your CPU, which under particularly stressful loads will drop clock speed to prevent any damage to sensitive componentry, but for gamers, the GPU is going to be under much more consistent load for the most part.
Yeah, and even if your rig isn't suffering from permanent heat death, if you're planning on overclocking later on, a little bit of thermal headroom will help you gain stable, consistent, long-lasting frame rates.
An increase in fan quantity doesn't necessarily mean an increase in cooling potential. If you're searching the shelves for a new chassis, there are a few things to look out for.
When picking a chassis, you'll want to keep in mind whether any of your components are going to be stifled for air by any obstructions.
This shouldn't be much of a hassle in a case which features plenty of wiggle room, but it can be an issue in ITX and MATX chassis.
So some graphics cards fare better than others in compact situations, like these blower style coolers you get with the reference design. So they have a single large fan in the middle, which blows the cool air across the heat sinks and out through the exhaust at the back.
There has been a renaissance in case design as of late, and gone are the days where drive bays blocked the entirety of the front fan intakes. The death of optical drives, rise of SSDs, and popularity of smaller form factor builds have no doubt expedited this process.
This leaves front-facing fans able to pull in air unobstructed, and that cool breeze reaches your components as directly as possible, at least in theory anyways.
This cooling layout keeps your airflow travelling in a clear and consistent path past your superheated components, which means that you shouldn't have any crosswinds or any hot air trapped within your case.
If you decide to go the liquid cooling or moist route, then you'll need to make sure that your radiator has adequate airflow to pull the heat away from those copper or aluminium fins. As a general rule, the bigger the radiator, the greater the cooling potential.
Radiators also tend to work best as exhaust rather than intake, so aim for this setup if possible.
Dual fans mounted on a radiator will usually suffice for the mild overclocker, but you can always mount two more fans into a push-pull configuration for more chill factor. Just make sure that these fans are all working in tandem and not forcing air in different directions.
If you're sticking to air cooling, then the path the air travels through your case is key. If you have a hefty dual fan heatsink design like this one, then it'll probably do a lot of the work for you. But if you have a smaller stock design like this or another low profile design, then you want to get as much air to that heatsink as you possibly can.
Which fans you choose to do this with can help massively. If you can fit a larger fan in your case, then there is little downside to doing so. Larger fans offer higher airflow at lower RPM, which often means better performance and lower noise levels.
Static pressure fans are best suited to radiators, and airflow optimized fans are, you guessed it, best for airflow. Picking up fans with greater CFM or cubic feet per minute will result in higher airflow and greater cooling, although you may have to trade high noise or unwieldy size in return.
Of course, your choice of fan design and manufacturer can make a big difference to the noise and performance of your rig. You could pick an off-beige, weird tone coloured thing from Noctua, or a ginormous maglev RGB thing from Corsair, or you can just go for a bargain basement 120mm fan from any hardware store.
This last step may seem a little obvious, but it can be a huge help in dissipating heat, and you'd be surprised just how few people actually do it, cleaning your case.
Dust is an absolute component killer. It can quickly gather thickly upon electrical doodads and acts as an insulator for any heat trying to escape them.
Not that either of us would settle for a dusty case, right Dave?
Of course not.
There's also the popular theory that more intake fans than exhaust will result in positive pressure within your case. This means that you won't get as much dust being dragged in through cracks and vents within your chassis.
But as long as you keep your intakes and exhaust fans balanced, and with the occasional clean, you should be just fine.
As long as your cat doesn't decide to take residence on your top exhaust.
So with all that in mind, your rig should now be squeaky clean and cooler than a cucumber.
Okay, anyways, if you liked the video, give us a like and subscribe, and check back on the website for more hardware and gaming news.
Stay cool, Daddy-o.
You gotta stop.
Yeah, alright.
Yeah.